This daf Yerushalmi Pesachim in the article Osva edition of daf Mem Vav and Rav. Last word, the first words on the page are Yerushalmi Bavel. It's really going on the previous page because that was the first thing which Hillel came from Bavel. Now we're going to learn the second thing. That in the Vilna is on daf Mem Amud Aleph. The first line also. But towards the end of the line. And now comes the next one, for the reason which Hillel came from Bavel. So he came up to talk about the following contradiction and how to resolve the contradiction. The Psukim says you should sacrifice to Baruch Hu, to your Pesach Baruch Hu, tzon, which we know, she, uvakar, a cattle. The other pasuk says only sheep and goats, not bakar. HaKetzad, so how do you reconcile the two psukim? Pesach, the sheep is going Pesach, and sheep and bakar, that you can take for karma chagiga, because chagiga, which comes together with the Pesach, can be either tzon or bakar. The sheep, so the pasuk says kvasim and izim, which are tzon, are only for that's for Pesach. The pasuk says tzon or bakar, that's for chagiga. Okay, and another drush which you came up to discuss, which Shmai and Avtayon. It says 6 days you should eat matzos. Because it says 7 days you should eat matzos. So how does it reconcile to Psukim? So there are other reconciliations, obviously, given the Bavli, but here the reconciliation given is Shisha Min HaChodesh, 6 days. I'm not sure, actually. Going to be one reconciliation Bali. One is the first day's Rishus, and the other days it's the first day's Chayv, and the other day's Rishus. But in any event, here the reconciliation is that Shisha mean Chadash, 6 days you can eat Chadash. Only after the second day Yontif can you start eating Chadash. Obviously, you have the Karban Omer. The Shiva Mina Yoshan, and the 7th day, the first day plus the other 6 days, you eat from Yoshan. So the Chodesh starts second day. The Darash, this is the way he dashed it. Hiskim, and this was in line with the halacha. Interesting way of putting it. And V'Allah, and he came up to Eretz Yisrael, and V'Kiba halacha, and they accepted this halacha. Also, and he the way Moshe said, so he came up and discussed it, and then Shmai and Avtayon passing away as well. The way the article puts it is he received askama of Shmai and Avtayon that these drashas, which he darshan, were appropriate drashas and resolutions of the psukim. Okay, says the Gemara further. Michli krovov. So you mix the intestines. We had in the Mishnah that that's the Michli krovov is the Derech Shabbos. To make sure the intestines you clean them up. Said Moshe said in the Mishnah, you kanech them, and that not mixing. Scratch that word from the record. You clean them up. So Rabbi Yochanan says, why do you do this? All everything that God, all acts of God are for Him. So the in other words, whatever Hashem made in this world, we reciprocate to Him. I think it's supposed to be from a zevach, not from mizbeach. The words the mem in mizbeach is probably superfluous. Yeah, the article he takes out without even saying it's a correction. Just don't zevach. The mem is just taken out. So you shouldn't, as the Moshe says, if you don't clean them up, so then it looks like you're doing something disgusting for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it's not Poel Hashem L'Maneu, not using the activities of HaKadosh Baruch Hu for Him in the proper way. Tani, Rabbi Shmuel ben Benosh Rabbi Yochanan broke Rabbi Shabbos and Mafshit. The Korban Eidah changed the next word from S to Ad HaChazeh. Shabbos, you would not skin the entire animal. You only skin up till the. Did I skip here? Yes, I did skip. The Tani Rabbi Shmuel says, sorry, I skipped Rabbi Shmuel. Tani Rabbi Shmuel, if she told Doches Shabbos to skin the animals Doches Shabbos. Tani Rabbi Shmuel Moshe Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Shabbos and Mafshit Ad HaChazeh. On Shabbos you would do only up till the chest. Again, it says Es HaChazeh in the Vilna, but it changes the Korban changes Ad HaChazeh. What the no, he does not change it in the text itself here. Changes it in the commentary. My time the Rabbi Shmuel. Why does Rabbi Shmuel say you do the entire skin, the entire animal? So very similar to what we said before. That it shouldn't look like you're taking the mimur when you take them out of a disgusting looking half skinned carcass. So what does Rabbi Shmuel ben Yochanan do with this with this issue? That it's very unaesthetic. So he says that since you are turning around now, the Pekar explains. He said previously, he says. You start from the back legs and you go all the way to the chest in order to move the murim, okay? But you don't do the rest of it. So, and this it says, since you started from below, evidently it looks like it's basically skinned, and therefore that's sufficient. You don't finish the job, I guess. Wait, is that part you're taken from the murim, which are in the back part of the animal. You take them out of a place which are already skinned, so it doesn't look like you're taking from a half-skinned carcass because the place we're taking from is already fully skinned, which I guess is more aesthetic that way, you take it from the skinned area. They both said the same thing. Kamad Rabbi Shmuel, Amar Muvchar Doiche, so Yeshua said to do it in a muvchar way is doich. Ein muvchar mina muvchar doiche, but to do it muvchar mina muvchar is not doiche. Kach Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yochanan broke omer muvchar doiche. Muvchar is doiche. Ein muvchar mina muvchar doiche. He also agrees with the principle. Now, the Korban Eidah and Ritbaz say that this is talking about this is referencing a sugya in Menachos. By how you sift the flour for the Korban Omer, and there the Korban Eidah says that we learned there Rabbi Shmuel Omer Hayabah b'Shabbos Shalosh Sein, on Shabbos you sifted from 3 sein l'chol mechamesh, and a weekday from 5 sein, and to get it muvchar you would sift it. For muvchar be from 5 sein to get the amount for the Omer. Muvchar is enough to use 3 sein. So but it seems in one of the Bnei Moshe that it's going off and north here. It's going here in our sugya that that Rabbi Shmuel also is like Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan Breika. That just like Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yochanan Breika holds, you only have to go up to the chest, because that's muvchar, you don't have to be muvchar to do the entire thing. Rabbi Shmuel would also hold the same thing, except that here he holds that's not even muvchar. Right, so that's about clokus. What's going to be muvchar? Everybody agrees in principle that muvchar that muvchar is sufficient. You don't do muvchar mina muvchar. The question is what's muvchar. Rabbi Shmuel holds you need to do the whole thing in order to be muvchar. Rabbi Yochanan holds that you only have to go up to the chest in order to consider muvchar, and going beyond that is muvchar mina muvchar. Okay, so but I wrote here that really it should be like the derech of the Yerushalmi. It should be the opposite way. That we should say that not like just like Shmuel holds this way, so that Shmuel ben Rabbi Yochanan holds this way, but So according to Moshe, it's the opposite. So Shua ben Osher Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka holds you only do mufchar and not mufchar. And mufchar, Rabbi Shua really holds the same thing. But he holds, in this case, mufchar means to do the entire animal. Okay, now most of the Mepharshim don't change the gears to the next line, but it's very easy if I change the gears to the Shai Torah Yisrael. So I looked it up specifically to see if he changed the girsa, and he does change the girsa. So he's changed the girsa in Tomar Eino Muvcharu, right? Eino Doicha, sorry, Eino Doicha Muvchar. We're going to say Muvchar is not Doicha. And that's why Shon Ben Broka only says you only go up to the chest. So then you can do even less. You create a just rip open a hole where the chalavim are and remove the chalavim, extract them through that laparoscopic surgery, I guess. I don't know. And obviously, when we laparoscopic, then it would be perhaps even less of an evil. But anyway, just rip a hole and take them out, right? So it must be that he also owes. You need muvchar, just not muvchar, not muvchar. And the muvchar is until the chaz. And I saw the shot. There's a very nice shot, which actually it's a good thing I looked it up. He says, why is, according to Yerushalmi Pesachim, isn't a muvchar enough to do it up to the chest? Because they hung the current Pesach, when they skinned it, they hung it by its back leg. And it gets by its back leg, so it's hanging down. So then, when you remove, and you like Carmen said, you skin it from the bottom, and then when you get to the chest, so the skin is covering the base hashchita. Remember, like when you take up the animal to the mizbech, so they put the pader on the base hashchita so it doesn't look so disgusting. So here, so to speak, killing two birds with one stone. At this point, he doesn't note this connection to the pader. That's my additional insight here, whether you like it or not. But the fact that he just says it's hanging down, it looks fine that way. But I think that there's this additional issue, which is that it's covering the head, which is the base of shechita, and therefore it's even more aesthetic to have the hide hanging down that way when you're removing the imurim. I think it's a very nice insight. Problem with what I'm saying is that maybe call them muvchar mina muvchar. It's actually covering the base of shechita. Okay, but I guess we don't go that far. The question is, what's considered to be muvchar? Is muvchar that you completely remove the skin, or is muvchar that it's hanging down over the base of shechita? But everybody agrees that you're not going to do muvchar mina muvchar. But the question is, what's considered to be sufficient to be muvchar? Okay, it requires perhaps a little more analysis. Rabbi Yosef said, no, this whole issue doesn't prove anything about muvchar doicha Shabbos or not. Lo, I say look Rabbi Shimon, because it's going like Rabbi Shimon. The tiny we learned hagorer is somebody who scrapes, like planing wood. Hakodech, you drill wood. Hakoitzitz, you cut it. Koshu, no matter how little you do, b'Shabbos chayev. That considered to be, even though you're not finishing the process. Well, you did a little bit, you're already chayev. That's Tanakama. Rabbi Shimon, all of them first take out Ben Elazar, which is in the Vilna. I wonder if in the middle. Always curious how the article deals with these obvious tikkunim. He doesn't. It only takes on in the commentary, not in the text. But amen. Rabbi Shimon says, "Omer ko gorer achigor kotzarko." No, partial is not considered to be doing the malacha, right? You have to do as much as you would normally plane. Until you do a full drilling. You get us to the other side. You cut it's called circle until you to cut as much as you need to cut. Or and somebody who's tanning leather circle. It's not considered to be ibud until you fully tan it. So therefore, it's in this case, it's not that muvchar is Teicha Shabbos or not Teicha Shabbos. Here to the it's like Rabbi Shimon, who also said it's not going to be Shabbos, only the Rabbanan. So therefore, there's no right here that muvchar is Teicha Shabbos. The Rabbi Yaakov Acha, next line is seems to be repeating the same principle from a different Amoira. The Mashbiach tries to change the gears to make it work that it's a new thing, but it doesn't seem to be that way. Rabbi Yaakov Rabbi Shimon Lo avad mixas mocha kula. He doesn't make a mixas mocha like an entire malacha. Rabbanan have to mixas mocha kula. So if we held like Rabbanan Taka, we'd have to say mufchar zeicha Shabbos. But you hold like Rabbi Shimon that it's a mixas mocha and it's not it's a Shabbos, and therefore it's not a problem here. And we have to come on to a concept mufchar being zeicha Shabbos. The kasha of Shim Gamliel. So the Korban says. Agav Shittim Masechet Shabbos myself. This is not really directly relevant to our sugya. It's really brought down because we brought down the Shabbos issue. V'achei Brush, and this means say, Kasha Rishon Gamliel Damar Afa Maker Bekunus al ha Sadan says here in this Korban Sadin the sheet, but it's supposed to say Sadon, the anvil. Somebody who hits with the hammer on the animal Shas Malacha Chayev. He's V'amai. Why? Hola Midik Avid. They didn't do anything. Hashem Yad Malacha is just training his hand to be able to do the malacha more properly. In case Misha not a liksor below kotzar, so that's the case. Somebody who takes something to harvest and he doesn't actually harvest. Namiyei Chayiv should be Chayiv because he was training his hands. Everybody resists potter. Vashovet. Well, actually, before we go on, let's read it. Kasha Shingam Leo, who says that you hit the animal and you're training yourself. That's kind of like a makar tasha on your training yourself. So if that's the case, not a liks of low cuts or shemaklum. If you train yourself to harvest, then you don't actually harvest. Is that something? Or my Rab said, Aser Shingam Leo Rabbi Yehuda. Shingam Leo is going like Rabbi Yehuda. The Tani, we learned Hashovet. So the Korban explains here that Shover Hamiyasha Shesi, somebody who straightens the wool on when he's weaving. Bekakushal eights with a stick of wood, Sharosh Chad, which is a sharp edge. V'mekatket, somebody who makes something more precise. Motech Chuta Erev. The chassis is the wool threads which are on the loom. The Arab is the one which you throw across back and forth. So the somebody who straightens the warp through the threads on the loom, and so that's the shovet, and the mekarkate. That's somebody who straightens the woof threads as they go back and forth. That it shouldn't be so taut. If you do it that way, it's not going to be woven properly. So this is this is a Yisrael because he's miyashev yodo, which is an interesting term. It could lead us astray and think this means somehow you're fixing your hand, like we said before, that you're training your hand when you hit on the anvil. But in fact, it doesn't mean that. It means here that you are you're being fixing the malacha, and also when you the anvil, when you hit on it, going to the simple shot, there's a more complicated shot. Going to simple shot, you need to smooth the anvil. Because the anvil is, if it gets bumpy, then it's going to mess up your smithing work. So therefore, these are all, according to Shimon Gamliel, it's not that you're training your hand. And here, Miyash V'yodo doesn't mean you're training your arm. It means that you're resolving rough patches. Right? The chassis needs to be straightened, and the Arab has to be made proper in order that it should stick in the weave of the chassis. It should have a proper weave. All these things are fixing the malacha. So therefore, the same thing with the anvil as well. So all fixing the malacha in the final analysis. Okay, and now we have two dots. So we're on to the next one. We said that putting the fats on the mizbeach is b'toich Shabbos, right? So it says leilin chelev chagi ad boker. It says that the chelev of Shanat, which is talking about on a regular weekday, should not remain off the mizbeach until morning. So the that's fine, but how do we know it's Shabbos? Mura Chol Krevin B'Yontif, or even Yontif. It's the Mura Chol Darch Yontif, but would you not have to put on before? No, you know what? Let me do it over here. Right? They shouldn't leave on until morning. So it sounds like even though the Korban Pesach was sacrificed on a weekday, you can put the Murim on the Mizbeach at night after Pesach begins. Just don't leave them out, because don't leave them out the Mizbeach till morning. Sounds like during the night you can put them there. So the Gemara asks, can you put the Murei Chol, which because you sacrifice it on a weekday, then you can put it on top of Mizbeach on Yontif? Why should it be Dachi Yontif? It should be before Yontif. Rabbi Avo, so there's a Kiyamte, I'm going to learn the Psukim. I sustained the Psukim, when the 14th day came on Shabbos, and Yechek the Emurim is not the Shabbos. So therefore, the Pasuk is saying, okay, make sure to do it after Shabbos is over, on the night of Pesach, put the Emurim on top of the Mizbech. Rabbi Yoni says, ask a question, if we're talking about our Basar, which comes on a Shabbos, so here it says, not Chelev Pesach, it says Chelev Chagi. So it sounds like not just Chalav and the Pesach would go on at night, but even the Chelev of the Chagiga would go up at night after nightfall. The Chagiga you brought before Yontif begins. You put the Chelev on at night. Says Gemara, what do you mean? But if you're going to learn the Pesukim, they're talking about where Pesach and Shabbos, then Ein Chagiga Bo Imo. If Shabbos or the Yos Shabbos is no Chagiga. The Chagiga is not Doicha Shabbos. So Omar Torah, it must be a Torah says it's talking about a regular weekday, and it's as if it says El Omar Torah. Torah is saying Hakrei Mi B'Yod Yom. Bring it to put all the Murim on top of the Mizbeach Mi B'Yod Yom. Not in order. Shelo Yavo Lidei Baal Tolin. That it shouldn't come to Baal Tolin. In other words, Lo Yechev Chagiga Boker doesn't mean don't put it up during the nighttime. In order before morning, I mean put it up during the daytime, in order that you shouldn't come to do it on Yontif, and because you can't do it on Yontif, and in order it shouldn't come to Noiser, so then put it on daytime to make sure it does come to Noiser the next day. Who takes out the next line? The Carbonator takes out the next line. Let's see the article again. The article does not take out the next line. He says it's a whole discussion. This is due for the first paragraph of Rosh Hashanah, and the Korban says Loka Sina Lahachal. You don't learn it here because it's not so about the Acher, but the article has a whole explanation of the issue of about Acher. If it's here, the third regal, you're about to be over about the Acher, how do you avoid it? But okay, we're going to go with the Carbonator and take it out because it's going to be too complicated. Let's leave it in and go into a long digression about Acher. So anyway, so in any event, we have a problem here. So the problem is, our Mishnah said that Hektar Murim is Doicha Shabbos. We already have right Doicha Shabbos. Maybe you have to sacrifice Mi B'Yod Yom. Maybe talk about a weekday and it's telling you to sacrifice Mi B'Yod Yom in order to make sure not to be makar with them on Yom, not to be makar them even on Yontif. So how do you know it's going to be Doicha Shabbos? According to the Pnei Moshe, who does leave in the gears of Rabbi Chanina's words are also going on Baal Ta'acher, and that is the way the article learns it. But according to Korban Eda, no, Baal Ta'acher was in the parentheses, which is in the parentheses, is in the line we just removed. And that's not relevant here. And Rabbi Chida comes back to our sugya. So Rabbi Chida comes back to our sugya and says, I'll tell you how we see the Tzorcha Shabbos. Over Vehevi. And says the name Carbonator, Rabbi Chida, Olam b'Yudad Shchalas Shabbos. We're talking about Yudad comes on Shabbos. Kasha Mevim Chagiga. I would say you don't bring Chagiga. So what does it mean? Learning Chagiga Boker is no Chagiga yesh lomar came to ilu ikriv chagiga b'Shabbos. Since if you brought a chagiga on Shabbos, hakorban kosher, time to the sefta mechiltim parakei. So there's a sefta here. Commercial call the prayer of the Pesach is telling us the over alimunim mishum lo yelin. That there's if you brought the chagiga, you shouldn't have brought it, but you did bring it. Then you not allowed. Then there's an avera of lo yolin, right? So then it says ilu over vehevi shemen kosher, machash ilu over vehevi kosher. Since if you were over and you brought it, it's kosher. So therefore, over. So therefore, you are over. You're going to violate lo yolin if you don't bring the murin. So therefore, you have to bring the in this case, if you brought the chagiga on Yudal Shcholos b'Shabbos, you're going to have to sacrifice the murin on Pesach because at least at night, because otherwise it's going to be over on Leil and Chev Chagi. So then Chev Chagi is talking about Take where you brought it on Shabbos, and you can't. So therefore, you can't be doing it on Shabbos. So okay, do it at night in order not to be over on Baal Tali. Now, the problem is that the sugya never actually resolves. The sugya goes on to something else now. It never actually resolves how we know that that Hakrav Simon is Doicha Shabbos. Because at best we know now that Hakrav Simon is Doicha the night of Pesach, right? After Shabbos is over. So you bring in the night of Pesach. It's Doicha Yotiv. But we don't have actually any derivation for our Mishnah's Halacha that it's Doicha Shabbos. And we just go on to the next sugya. I don't think anybody addresses that point directly. Okay, but we go on to the next part of the Mishnah, and perhaps it's a Kal V'chomer if the well, not a Kal V'chomer. I take it back. Let's see. It says that roasting the korban Pesach and rinsing its intestines is not doicha. Is not doicha Shabbos. So the Mefarshim said the Gemara here really should have brought down the sugya in Shabbos. It says that you lower the Pesach Erev Shabbos im chashecha into the oven. So it sounds like the roasting takes place in Shabbos. So so it sounds like the roast that the carbonator brings down here. It says only after dark would they go and roast the Pesachim. So what about the Gemara on Shabbos? And the Korban brings it down here. It says, "V'adamar kushel shas od nam perkan Shabbos b'shas the Pesach b'tanim chashecha avrav shnitzel b'Shabbos." Right? You can put it into the oven as night falls, even though it's going to be roasted on Shabbos. So it sounds like the roasting does push up Shabbos, right? So it says Gemara l'shul shulo l'tanur. So that is what's doicha is that putting in the oven Erev Shabbos as night is just for nightfall, which is only the Rabbanan. The fact that it's going to be roasted on Shabbos, once you put it in, that's the Rabbanan. The rice, so you put it on for Shabbos, you're home safe. So that they were matir, right? And that she was saying matir, but not to actually roast. The roast on Shabbos, that remains actually forbidden. And that brings us to the top of the next Amud, so we will stop here for today.